Hey everyone, how you doing? So this past week, the Oakland Athletics were contacted by MLB and they suggested that maybe it's time for you to relocate or go to a different city because you've been suffering long enough in the stadium you play in, which is called the Oakland Coliseum. Now, I think that's what they call it. It could be called something different with, all the corporation names. But the MLB finally did something right. Now, I know I've been ripping them with the whole All-Star thing in Atlanta and other things and these rule changes and how baseball can be boring, how it can be fun again, blah, blah, blah. But they actually did something smart here with Oakland, and it is time, folks, for Oakland to move out of that area because that stadium is a complete shithole. Everyone I know who has been there has told me that it is a dump. It's too big. It's past its prime. They don't build stadiums like that anymore or host two different teams for two different leagues for football and baseball. That is a thing of the past. Each team seems like they has their own separate stadium now in the respectable leagues in the NFL and the MLB. So you're probably thinking, what is B-Man suggesting where they move? Now, there is only one city, and I know there's like 10 of them that they said that they could be relocated to. I think Nashville is a beautiful city. I think Nashville would be the perfect destination, especially for me, since it's only a 7-hour drive from here. I'd love to go see them play in Nashville, especially when the White Sox are there. That'd be a fun road trip. Now, Nashville is an up-and-coming city. Seems like a lot of these cities in the South, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, a lot of the cities down there are booming, or they were. I don't know how they're doing now because of post-pandemic, and with all the inflation that's coming in, and all the other crap that's going on in the country. But it just seems like Nashville would be the perfect spot for them. They've been begging for a baseball team, and actually Nashville is a very underrated sports team. Now, a lot of people in Chicago hate Nashville because of the Nashville Predators, and they're a rivalry. And it's actually funny because the Predators, the NHL team, by the way, the hockey team, Blackhawk fans, when the Blackhawks were relevant, so they couldn't buy tickets. If you lived in the Chicagoland area, you could not buy tickets for that team. You could not buy tickets outside the zip code of Nashville. And that pissed off the Blackhawks fans because when the Blackhawks were good and they were relevant, and they would go down there, all the Blackhawk fans would follow them, by the way, who were never in existence before the Blackhawks were good in 2009. But when the fans would come down there, they would, drink all the beer, eat all the food. Bars actually ran out of beer at one time during a playoff series against Nashville. So that's pretty funny. So I think it's funny that the Predators did that. But then again, Nashville is a very underrated sports city. And of course, you have the Tennessee Titans down there as well. It is a fun city. I've driven through it a few times. I've never actually stayed a night there, but I have driven through it. And the people who told me who've been there say that there's a lot of restaurants. It's a big entertainment district. And it's just a place to go to for 3 days and enjoy yourself. Almost like Vegas, but without all the casinos. So I hope Oakland A's do move there. That would be something cool, something different, because Oakland does not deserve a sports team. The Raiders moved out of there and went to Vegas. Of course, the Warriors in the NBA moved out of there and went across the bay in San Francisco. So the Oakland Athletics, the Oakland A's, are the last professional team to be there. And if you do not get a new stadium, built for them, which they deserve a beautiful 38,000 seat stadium on the bay there, looking over the San Francisco Bay, or even the Oakland Bay, or whatever you want to call it, or even facing the Golden Gate Bridge, or even the Bay Bridge, kind of like what the backdrop the Giants have, the San Francisco Giants have. But I don't know if it's the San Francisco Giants who get pissed about that and say, well, you're copying up our stadium. So there's a lot of things going on there, and I just think that maybe it's best for Oakland to move out of that area, forget California, forget Oakland, and say, F you, we're done, we're moving thousands of miles away, we're going to go to Nashville. And that is the best destination I think they should go to. Now, there's been rumors that they might possibly think about moving to Portland or Montreal. Now, Montreal always had a great baseball team there. The Montreal Expos, they were loved there. They moved out and became the Washington Nationals. So, but you know what? I don't think Canada having two baseball teams will work. Unfortunately, I think they would do best in Nashville, Tennessee. And, Oakland, in California, they had their chance. But I would just get up and leave overnight, build us a new stadium in Nashville, Tennessee, and let's do it. Now, there's one thing that they need to be careful of if they do get a stadium deal, for Oakland. Do not build it in a hurry. Do not build it in a rush, because there's one thing as a White Sox fan that haunts me, and I'll tell you what that is right now. Back in the mid to late 80s, everyone knew that Comiskey Park was falling apart. They knew that there was nothing they could do. It cost too much money to fix it up. It would cost more money to fix it than actually build a new stadium. This was a big issue. There was like a lot of panic, a lot of worries that the White Sox would actually move because the owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, suggested that maybe the White Sox should move to St. Petersburg, Florida, which is Tampa Bay Rays now. By the way, who plays in another crap hole stadium, and I am so glad the White Sox did not move to St. Petersburg and play in that shithole stadium, because the stadium they play in now is so much better. But the stadium they play in now is nowhere compared to Comiskey Park, the original Comiskey Park. So what happened between 1986 and 1991, when the actual Comiskey Park 2 was built, was that there was some proposals that maybe the White Sox should move to the South Loop next to Soldier Field there in the McCormick Place parking lot, same area, and then have a sports complex where you have Soldier Field and the new Comiskey Park. Could you imagine that? That would be absolutely beautiful. That would have been gold. That the South Loop, you know, the White Sox in the South Loop is a dream that will never happen for me. Having a backdrop either the Chicago skyline or Lake Michigan. But you know what? It never happened because the stubborn owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, said, no, we want to keep the White Sox in the south side of Chicago. So a stadium deal was made at midnight in 1988, and they decided to build the new Comiskey Park, which was completely bland at the time, and literally it was blue. It was blue. That was it. And the upper deck was so high you could actually watch the game above the cloud lines. It was like 40,000 feet, it seemed like. When you looked down in the outfield, it literally looked like you were in an airplane. It felt like you were in an airplane. You were looking down and you saw ants walking around. Yes, they fixed the stadium up. Yes, they've renovated it. Yes, they tore part of the upper deck down. They took 10 levels down. They made it more modernized. They made it more friendly for fans. But you know what? It's nowhere near what the old Comiskey Park was. And it's missing something. You know, and plus you're looking out over the Dan Ryan, which I never understood why they did that. Why couldn't you see the Chicago skyline? It would have been more attractive. But they completely screwed up on that stadium. Now, that is something the Oakland A's need to be aware of. I'm pretty sure they're not going to take my advice because I'm a peon nobody. But if a stadium deal is met in Oakland, you make sure they build that stadium right. You make sure they put it on the base somewhere where it's facing water, or it's facing the skyline, or anything. I don't care. Just make sure it's beautiful. Don't rush the stadium, and don't get put a stadium that you're going to regret for the next 40 to 50 years because you already play in a terrible stadium as it is in the Oakland Coliseum. That is advice that I would give to the Oakland A's, me, B-Man. And folks, that is pretty much it. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. And also, I will leave the link in the description below for the article regarding the Oakland A's possibly moving out of Oakland.